Welcome back to Table for Two, the podcast where faith, family, and real life meet around the table.
And we're Jason and Nicole Barnett. He's Jason, I'm Nicole. We're a married couple in ministry trying to follow Jesus, raise a family, survive group text on my word, and occasionally remember that we left our coffee.
Or the bulletins.
Coffee pot on and bulletins in the fellowship hall.
Yes. And we're at a point in life where we might need to start wearing name tags to help each other out and our children. But welcome to Season 2. Last season we shared stories, laughed a lot, tackled some difficult conversations, and honestly realized we're not the only people trying to figure life out in real time.
Now, this season is going to be going a little deeper, a little bit more personal. Although I feel like we went really pretty personal last season too. But it's definitely going to be a lot more chaotic this time around, and we're going to be discussing some of the drama that we dealt with this last year.
Absolutely. And drama just seems to be the definition of our lives these days.
Yes, it is.
Anyway.
So today's episode is going to be called Life in Progress. We're talking about parenting, family life, ADHD, grace, frustration, and, just learning that sometimes growth doesn't happen in neat little steps.
Yeah. Sometimes it looks like stepping on Legos while trying to keep everyone emotionally stable.
Yeah, and if you're a parent listening right now, you probably felt that on a spiritual level.
Right, so pull up a chair and let's get started. This is Table for Two.
Through storms and swallowed our noise, church keys in hand, coffee and mugs, our lives held together by grace and a few hugs. They said she submits, we said we both do. It's not about ladders, it's me and you, serving the kingdom in aprons and jeans, laugh lines and calloused hands and holy routines. At this table for two, there's room for you. Pull up a chair, we'll tell the truth from love and faith with the side of faith-filled talk.
So before we jump into today's conversation, today, Junior, let's lighten things up a bit first.
Yeah. What is something you were absolutely convinced you would never do as a parent that you now do all the time?
I think you know my answer.
Yes, but I don't think those listeners know our answer to this story.
Okay, so back when our oldest was born, I was very adamant that we weren't going to let her have soda until, I think our agreement was, when she started school, we'd let her have it occasionally. And by 9 months, that went out the window because I was carrying her in from the car, and I had a McDonald's Coke in one hand, and she was on my hip, and I was holding the diaper bag in the other, and she leaned over and started chewing on my straw. Well, I got her inside, set her down on the floor to play, and I realized my McDonald's cup is only half full, and I hadn't taken any drinks yet. That little 9-month-old girl drank half of my large McDonald's Coke. And so the idea of no soda until they started school kind of went out the window at that point.
Yeah. But in all fairness, let's just be honest with ourselves. My grandma was going to ruin that long before we got to that point anyway. So.
Because we went and visited her shortly after that. And what did she do immediately?
She filled Jaden's bottle full of Pepsi and then handed her a Pop-Tart.
No, it was an Oreo.
Or an Oreo.
Yeah, and then Jaden followed her around like a lost puppy the rest of the time we were there.
Yeah. I think for me, it was, too, I always told myself I wasn't going to be that sports dad, Mm-hmm. I was going to sit down and just let the coaches coach and do their thing. And now my kids aren't really that active in sports right now, but when they played baseball, softball, or even Ben played flag football for a while, I just couldn't sit down. I was more nervous watching them play than when I played. And in fairness too, Ben's baseball coach, he was their school's PE teacher. I had full confidence in him as a coach. It was just, okay, how can I help Ben? be successful.
But to be fair, you were invited onto the fields in those moments.
Oh, that's true.
Like, you were asked to kind of be a backup assistant coach in a few of those situations, and then invited to give input later on. So, I don't know. I don't think that was really you being the typical sports dad. It was you were invited to be a voice.
True. Nicole, I think you just got a text message. All right, now before we continue, just want you to know this is a new segment we're introducing for season 2.
So the messages you're about to hear are fictional. These are not real people. They're not based on any real family or any one real situation. They're just inspired by struggles and conversations many families quietly navigate every day.
And we're doing this so maybe this conversation in quotation marks.
Yes.
I'm doing quotation marks and you can't see me doing it. But maybe these conversations can help you or help somebody you know, and they feel a little less alone in the situation. So,
okay, here is today's text message. And it's from Amber C. And she said, "Hey, Nicole, it's Amber from the park a few weeks ago. I need advice before my mother-in-law accidentally starts a spiritual war in my house."
Oh, snap.
So apparently Sadie told her grandma that I let her watch K-pop Demon Hunters last weekend. Uh-oh.
That could be bad.
Now Linda is convinced I'm letting demons into the house through Netflix. She sent me 3 Facebook videos, told Sadie she needs to pray after watching these cartoons, and asked if I prayed over the television lately.
As long as you anointed it too. I didn't do that during Notre Dame season though.
Yeah, keep your sports out of this. Sadie cried before bed because now she thinks she accidentally invited evil spirits into the living room. I honestly don't even know what to say anymore. I know Linda means well, but I also don't want my kid terrified of everything all the time. What do I do? Okay, before we dive into this, I do want to reassure you that this is fictional.
Yes.
We would not be sharing private text messages or conversations with with our podcast.
Yes. So this gives you an insight into how we operate when we receive text messages a little bit.
Yes.
Now we might be a little funnier because this is the podcast.
Yes, and these are fictional situations. So.
But so if you share a name with one of the characters, it's by pure coincidence. It's
yeah. I can't even think of anybody off the top of my head named Amber. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. So. Wow, K-pop Demon Hunters. Maybe you should tell those who are listening what K-pop Demon Hunters is, because I could try and tell you. I've seen the movie 3 or 4 times, but I'll be honest, when it comes to this K-pop stuff, I'm like a caveman.
Okay. So K-pop Demon Hunters is a movie that came out on Netflix. I think it was earlier this year, right? Or like maybe late last year. I don't remember. But it quickly gained traction with, children and teens alike. Basically the premise is there's these 3 young women who are K-pop stars, Korean pop stars, if you don't know what K-pop means.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you can find that for people.
Yeah, it's Korean pop stars, and they also hunt demons. Now, another thing I want to preface is the fact that demons in Korean culture and demons in our Western Christianized culture are very different. I would say demons are more closely related to vampires in the Korean culture than they are like spiritual creatures like they are in our culture. So it's not as big of a red flag as you would think. But anyway, so they come in contact with like this group of demons who are infiltrating the K-pop world and are playing their songs to put like the world under a spell. And I'm not going to get into any more details there, but basically it's the classic good versus evil storyline. And there's a really, really sweet and neat redemption arc in there as well.
That's pretty good without giving away the story.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Good.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Well, I think most of us as parents have kind of been in this situation before, or maybe as a kid with your own parents you're in this. Like, I remember I wasn't allowed to play with Pokemon cards.
And I wasn't allowed to watch Harry Potter.
Yeah, so what do we do with it? What do we do with this? Like, one, in this scenario, Amber doesn't go to our church. She's somebody new. And in the text message, she just met Nicole at the park.
Yeah.
And, again, fictional. But
it's not completely beyond the realm of possibilities. I have had people reach out to me that I've only met a time or two at the park.
Yeah. We've
not about this.
Yes. But, so one, we can't assume that Amber is a believer at this point.
No.
Nor is her daughter. And it's possible, but maybe not. But even then, I think one of the issues we have is in the church culture right now is we are afraid of everything.
Everything.
Like the boogeyman is hiding behind every rock, behind every tree.
And it's not the boogeyman, it's the devil.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
But we've reduced the devil to the boogeyman.
Yeah.
Right? So much so that we think he operates in pure black and white spheres. But he's way too clever for that. He's way too smart for that. So do you really think, and I'm assuming an 11-year-old kid, or whatever Sadie's age is, I forgot that part.
Yeah, I don't think it mentions it, but she's old enough to like K-pop Demon Hunter. So my guess would be between 8 and 13.
Yeah. So she's watching this movie. Mom lets her watch it, not thinking it's a movie, right? Like,
well, not thinking it's a bad movie.
Yeah, not thinking it's a bad movie. Be honest, my kids have watched it. Their Aunt Ivy introduced them to it, which
no. Aunt Ivy came to visit after they had already watched it.
Oh.
But she had already watched it like 15 times too.
So she was prepared. But if Aunt Ivy's listening to this, just know Aunt Ivy, this is a movie I would fully expect you to introduce my kids to, because that's what Aunt Ivy does.
And that's not a bad thing.
No, I kind of made it sound like a bad thing on purpose because I like to pick on people, but I really don't care.
Aunt Ivy's a very good influence. She likes to challenge my children.
Oh, but yeah, we reduced the devil to this boogeyman that's based, and we are afraid of these black and white imaginary things. Again, Pokemon cards are the same thing. It's imaginary. It's not real. It's a card game that kids play. Cards that they collect.
Yeah.
There's no real harm in it. It's no different than reading Lord of the Rings or C.S. Lewis.
And I would argue Lord of the Rings is probably worse because there's so much violence in it. But even then, like, it's not a bad, like, there's age appropriate elements that, like, you have to consider the age appropriateness, not necessarily the spiritual side of things like this.
Yes. So the other side of this too is this is Amber's daughter,
not ours, and not Linda's.
Not Linda's daughter, right? Like, I get Linda might be upset by this and it might bother her, and I think Amber could have a conversation with Sadie and say, "Hey, let's not,
like, there are some things that we don't necessarily talk about."
Yeah, because you don't want to be a stumbling block to somebody else either. So you can have a conversation that way, but at the same time too, like, one, here's the hard part of parenting, and really dealing with people in general, is everybody has free will.
Yeah. God
gave us free will, and he lets us make choices with our free will.
Yeah. Now, I'm gonna kind of pull from my history here. Okay. So if Amber were to go full scorched earth on K-pop Demon Hunters and do what Linda wants her to do, Sadie's gonna rebel. Mm-hmm. Now, she might not do it right away. Mm-hmm. She might think, okay, Mom's got the best in mind for me, but overall she's gonna be like, what's the real big deal about this? And that happened with me with Harry Potter. Okay. I sat and listened to Harry Potter be read in my 4th grade classroom, 2 of the books. And then by the time the 3rd one came out and my teacher was going to read it, my mom had decided that Harry Potter was... Do not disturb.
Sorry.
My mom had decided that at that point, Harry Potter was evil and witchcraft was evil. And I mean, there's an element of truth to that, but this wasn't real witchcraft for one thing. It was fiction. And she wrote to my school and told them that I was not allowed to listen to the book being read. I couldn't check out the book from the library. I couldn't, like, anything Harry Potter related, I was not allowed to participate. So I ended up sitting out in the hallway every day when Harry Potter got read to the class. And I was obedient that first year. Mm-hmm. Because, again, I believed the best.
Right.
But as my friends were listening to it be read and everything, they were getting all these lessons about, finding the good in situations and forgiveness and endurance and persistence and all these things that I was missing out on because they were listening to a book that had that content. And they weren't getting these lessons about, let's participate in, Ouija boards and all this stuff that my mom was afraid of. They were learning how to be better human beings.
Right.
And so I was missing out on it. And then I was also starting to wonder, what's really the big deal about all this?
Yeah.
And it didn't make sense to me. So instead of my mom squashing any interest I had in it, it created a deeper interest that I, like, when I was old enough and moved out, like, I literally binge watched the whole series. I read all the books. I was into it because I was like, what's wrong with this? And yes, the last couple of books get dark, but as with anything, like any good versus evil battle, there has to be a point where you think that good has lost.
Yeah.
It's kind of the climactic ending, and you feel like so defeated, and it brings you in, and then all of a sudden good triumphs. And I was like, isn't that the message that we should receive, that even in the darkest moments that good is going to win?
Right.
And so it was one of those things where my mom thought she was squashing my interest in. Instead, she just enticed me more. And I think that would happen here. But it wouldn't be something that her mom could safely interact with her when, as she's diving in, because she's going to feel like, I can't talk to mom about this. I can't talk to grandma about this. I have to keep this hidden. And so she's going to have to navigate those questions by herself.
Yeah.
Poor little Sadie, who's preteen at oldest right now. And she's going to be navigating those questions by herself and hiding it from mom, and especially from grandma. And so my advice to mom would be participate with her. Take an interest, understand what it is about the movie that she is attracted to, that she likes. Mm-hmm. If it's the music, take an interest. If it's the plot line, because it's a really good plot line, take an interest and talk with her about it. Help her navigate it, so that way she's not picking up the scary demonic elements and focusing on that. She's instead focusing in on the positive and the good. And isn't that what the Bible says for us to do? To focus on whatever is true and whatever is worthy and whatever is, that's what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to shut out the bad. We're just supposed to focus on the good.
Right. So if you were responding to Amber, what would your text message say?
If I were responding to Amber, first off, I'd be like, you're a mom, not Linda. Mm-hmm. If I were you, I would set a clear boundary with Linda that she is not Sadie's mom. You are. Hmm. And you are within every right to do that. And if she keeps crossing that line, there needs to be consequences there. Now, in regard to Sadie, let her be Sadie.
Right.
If she has these interests, let her have those interests and be a participant, so that way you can help her navigate. Because that show really encouraged my oldest, or our oldest, to get into the K-pop scene. And now she's like obsessed with several different bands. But there's some not so great bands out there.
Yeah.
And so if you take an interest, you can help steer Sadie in the direction of positive influences in the K-pop scene as opposed to the negative ones. But if you insist that she can't be involved in this at all, she's going to sneak.
Yeah.
And it's going to close a door. She's going to put up a wall between you and her, and there's going to be secrets.
Yeah.
Don't let there be secrets.
It's kind of like, I told you about Pokemon and Harry Potter when I was a kid. Now, I was not into those things. So I was like, okay, Mom, like, no big deal. But I was also not allowed to play with guns, like anything that resembled a gun. I couldn't play with squirt guns, couldn't play video games with guns in them. But every time I would go to a friend's house to play video games, the big game at the time was James Bond, GoldenEye 007.
I love that game.
And we played it almost every time I was over there, So I wasn't supposed to.
But you snuck.
I snuck it because I didn't see anything wrong with
And
it. It was a video game.
Exactly. And it was one of those things where you couldn't do it at home, so you'd go somewhere else.
Yes. So.
All
right, well, that's kind of what these are going to be like. Matter of fact, we're not going to change families throughout the season. We're going to
focus on this
one family. So if you're curious where this goes from here next, tune in next time. But I guess we're ready for our main content. This episode's called Life in Progress. And I guess maybe we should just tell them what's going on with our family, what changes have happened in the last year. And I feel like there's been a lot that's happened in the last year.
So much has changed. You want to start? Because I don't even know where to start.
Well, I think most, me personally, I feel like it's not really changed a whole lot other than, I've become more of a children's pastor than I've ever expected to be. I'm getting ready to put my youth pastor hat back on and try and get our youth group going here again.
Yeah.
Because the kids group we have kids aging out, getting ready to age into it. Not just my kids, but community kids. And I'm loving every moment of it, though. Like, I'm definitely more, when I was a youth pastor before, I was more of the big brother than ever wanted. But now
you're definitely more like Dad.
More like Dad.
Or Uncle Jason.
Uncle Jason, or yeah. So it's been a big shift on my part, but I think I'm ready to navigate that. So, tell them what's new with you, and then we'll get into what's going on with the kids.
Well, I've been teaching full-time at a Christian school in Mount Sterling, and it's been amazing. By the way, if you live anywhere near Mount Sterling and you want to send your kid to a Christian school that, is, small and intimate but like allows them to still be kids, Christian Traditional School is a great option. They're not paying me to say that. I just work there and I love it.
We have no sponsors for this show.
No, but I don't know much about the elementary side, but I'm at the middle school, and the administrator is amazing. My other teachers that work there are amazing. The kids are amazing. It's just been really a phenomenal experience. And definitely just something that's like helped boosted my confidence, as both a teacher and a pastor even. But it was also a lifesaver this year.
Yes, and we'll get into why. Part of this too, like I know at the end of last season we talked about having special episodes. I'm talking to you listeners. We were going to do some special podcast episodes but some crazy life stuff happened, and it really kind of
threw us for a loop.
In some ways, we're like
still scrambling a little bit.
Yeah, scrambling some, but life is good. God's brought us through it, but boy, it was dark there for a while. So I guess we'll just start. So our son Ben, he's turned 10 this last November, so he'll be 11 this year.
And he helped us close the season last year. And he, his little random ramblings. But he has those moments where he just rambles, and it's a sign of his ADHD, which up until this year has been unofficial. He didn't he wasn't officially diagnosed, but we could see it.
And he's still not he actually has an appointment this week.
Yeah.
And they have all the test work back. If you've been through this process, you probably know what we're talking about.
But he hasn't.
But we're just going to kind of share with you that journey this year, because they had some scary moments.
Yeah.
So for starters, it's Nicole's teaching now. It's 40 minutes from where we are.
Yeah.
And so I'm working part-time at a funeral home, and I'm running, pastoring this church. And I started off, Ben would have these episodes at school. He'd have freakouts. He'd have full-blown meltdowns. And the school would call me, and I'd have to come and get him and bring him home.
Yeah.
Now, there was some bullying aspect to this, too, and some of it was other kids toward Ben, and some of it was mutual. Ben was
bullying them back.
which that's a whole other discussion for another time.
Yeah. But there was one day in particular that scared the living daylights out of both of us.
Mm-hmm. The school counselor, too.
My administrator rushed into my classroom and he said, "You need to call Jason right now." And like he was pale. Jason, tell them what you heard.
So basically, I go in there and basically I get a call from the school, and Ben had just gotten to his class from breakfast. My kids rode the bus to school, still ride the bus to school, and they feed him breakfast. Well, Ben got breakfast, got done with breakfast, went to his classroom, and the teacher says he just got this blank look on his face. Was kind of unresponsive to people, and when he did kind of come back to, he didn't know what his name was, didn't know where he was at,
why he was there,
or what was going on. So he was having a full-on panic attack too, because he's 9 years old at the time, and this is scary stuff. And so they call me, and he's already in the ambulance on the way to the emergency room. And so I'm like going through all, that. I'm going through the worst case scenarios. Like he could be having a stroke. Did he hit his head on something? Did he eat something he wasn't supposed to? And again, he rides the bus. Did something happen? Did some kid on the bus give him something? Which, again, my kids have the best bus driver and bus aide in the world. But we were worried. It really scared us to death. And so,
my boss sent me home right away.
Nicole
He's like,
home.
"I will cover your class."
It turned out like they thought he maybe they weren't sure. They thought maybe he had like
an absent seizure,
but they couldn't prove that. And then at the same time too, they thought maybe a little bit of dehydration, because I did give him an IV, and that brought him back around. Well, we thought that was the end of it. Things would pick up from there, but it didn't. It was about another month of constantly being called into the school. And again, I know I got frustrated with the school guidance counselor, the principal, and even the teachers at some points, but I did my best to be professional, polite, because I also knew too, part of it was if you've been through this, you're looking to be angry at somebody and you're looking to blame somebody. And I knew I'm self-aware enough to know that's what I was trying to do. Yeah. And it wasn't their fault. And because I didn't want to blame Ben, because it wasn't Ben's fault either. Ben was experiencing something and he needed help, and he was crying for help, whether he was verbally saying that or not.
Yeah. And at this point, he had gotten to the point where he no longer felt safe at the school. It wasn't because of the teachers. And honestly, I wouldn't even blame the students for this. By that point, like his experience with not knowing where he was, it has scared him to the point that he was not going to respond.
And he was making comments about self-harm and things that he would never, to the point like I have a 12 gauge, and I had to give it to a church member to hold on to. Like I didn't sell it. It's still mine, but it's at his house.
And in his safe.
Yeah. But Ben started making these threats at school, and it kind of forces the school's hand when that stuff happens. And rightfully so. And I'm still grateful that our school system took it seriously. They didn't sweep it under the rug. They didn't pretend that, he's 9 years old, he's gonna be fine. Like, they tried to help us get him help, and he ended up in a place in Lexington where he had to stay a couple days to try and help get medicine figured out, get figured out what was going on in his mind. And I'll tell you what, as a parent, that was one of the hardest things we've ever had to do.
Yeah, because we didn't even know when he was going to be able to come home.
Yeah. And when you drop him, he's crying, he wants to go home, but that's not the right thing. And then even getting to call him the next night, we got to call him on the phone, and we still didn't have a timetable to give him because they hadn't given us one. And he's trying to figure out when he's coming home, and again, his routines, everything's all messed up. And the one thing I kept telling Ben over and over again was, Ben, the fastest way to deal with this is through it. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be pleasant, but you're going to trust me, we get through this. You're going to see a lot of people are trying to help you. And so he gets out of there. He's there for 3 or 4 days. And he comes home. But we realized he's not going to thrive in the school environment that he was in. As much as Estill Springs tried to help and tried to communicate, I probably shouldn't have dropped the school's name, but as much as they tried to do the right thing,
he was at a mental state where he could not go back.
Yeah. And partially so too. If put yourself in that 9-year-old boy's shoes. You've had all these episodes.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah. You don't know who you're still trying to figure out who you are and what you're dealing and trying to understand what you're dealing with at that age. And then, meanwhile, you got the kids around you that are
like, what happened to you?
Scared and upset the teachers. So we just felt it was best to get him out of that environment. And that's where Nicole's school came in handy, or came in. That was a godsend. It was a blessing in disguise. Like the whole fact that she ended up at the school was a blessing. So,
but yeah, so I was able to talk with my administrator through the whole process. He was super understanding. And when I asked him if we could bring Ben to the school, he didn't even hesitate. He's like, absolutely. So, Ben started coming with me to school the final 3 quarters of the school year. And it was still really rough going.
Yeah.
For like the first 9 weeks he was there, it was almost constant calls home and trying, like, he would come into my room in the middle of me teaching because of a meltdown.
Yeah. But he was having to relearn how to handle his own emotions at that point. And at the same time too, he's in a new school, new people. Now the classroom sizes were small.
Yeah,
smaller.
It's 11 to 1.
Yeah. But it was a struggle. But I did sit down and tell him, like, yo, Ben, I'm not worried about your grades right now. We got to get you feeling safe first. But now, with that being said, we did have to have a hard come to Jesus meeting at one point, though, because Ben had, kids are going to be kids. And if the kids don't like school and they don't want to be at school, they're going to figure out ways to be out of school. And so Ben had kind of picked up, too, if I throw a big enough fit, I'll get to go home.
Or if I say I don't feel good.
If I don't feel good, I'll get to go home. And so finally I had to sit him down and just tell him, listen, Ben, I love you. No matter what you do, I'm going to love you. You're my son. I'm always going to be proud of you. You don't have to earn that.
But if you come home early in the middle of the day again, you're not getting your phone back.
You're losing the phone. But at the same time, too, I also tell him, like, look, there is no scenario in this world where
you don't go to school.
Where you're not going to school. Like, this is what you have to do for right now. And just like before, the fastest way to deal with this is through it, not around it. So you're going to have to figure this out. And so slowly, again, through Nicole, through Miss McCaffrey, his teacher, Mr. Hess, the administrator there, Ben started turning around. Got to where he felt safe, and so then it became time to start focusing in on his grades, and that was a whole nother adventure.
His second quarter at the school, he did all of his work, but he never turned any of it in.
Yeah. Now that first quarter, he had a bunch of Fs, and I told him, "You're gonna have to, buckle down and get your homework done." So we started making sure he was doing his homework. Because again, he was starting to feel safe. Again, homework is not. I'm just gonna say this: the homework is not as important as what the child is feeling.
Yeah. Because
until Ben felt safe with who he was and in the environment he was in, he wasn't going to be able to do schoolwork or turn in quality work. We pushed him some, but not hard. But when the second quarter rolls around, he was in a different spot, and so we started making sure he was doing his homework, getting it in. Well, doing his homework. We didn't make sure he was turning it in.
I kind of figured that was going to be self-explanatory, but apparently not.
But he would come home every night and he would do his homework for like an hour, but he wouldn't turn it in.
Yeah,
and so we were very surprised at the end of that quarter when he got his report card back, and we're like, Ben, why? He's not turning his homework in. Oh, why would you do all the work and not turn your homework in, child?
Yeah, like 3 of his NTI packets that I know he did because I helped him on a few of the questions. He never turned in, and I was like, boy, what are you doing? But it was the same way with his reading logs and pretty much all of his homework. He just wasn't doing it. But then we had another conversation with him, and we're just like, you got to turn stuff in. If you have any missing work, there's going to be consequences this final quarter. And this final quarter, he didn't have any missing work.
No, he turned his homework in, and he did the best he could.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that he was a straight A student, but one of the things I did tell him was like, Ben, I'm not expecting you to be a straight A student.
No.
What I'm expecting you to do is your best.
Yeah.
I'm expecting you to try.
And I'll say this. So the way our school works is at the end of the year, the students will get their fourth quarter grade, and then they'll get their cumulative grade, which is all 4 quarters combined into one. And so again, Ben wasn't here for the first quarter. And then his first 9 weeks, he failed everything but Bible, art, and PE. And those are the only things that he didn't fail. And then the third 9 weeks, he had 5 Fs.
Yeah.
Well, he brought everything up enough for the cumulative score that he only had 3 high Fs. That final, like, for his cumulative score. So I was pretty proud of that. And
He worked really hard.
He worked really hard, and I was so proud of him for that. And the areas where he was struggling before. It was math and handwriting and reading comprehension.
Yeah.
So we're going to be working on that this summer, but I'm very proud of him that he was able to boost his cumulative scores up enough to where he was really within like a fraction of a percentage.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
now, again, I'll be honest. There were times this school year where I was so frustrated. Like, because, one, you feel like you're failing as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
You're feeling like the school isn't listening to you. But again, what helped me was, again, stopping and realizing, one, the school is dealing with 30 other children just in that class, not just your child.
Yeah.
That perspective really helps. They're doing the best they can with the people that they have, that are doing the best they can. I firmly believe that. I firmly believe they cared. So, when those moments where I was discouraged a little bit with, or frustrated at them, the Lord always helped me remember that. But I know for myself, again, it was like, man, what am I doing wrong as dad?
Yeah.
How do I help him? And again, so many of us, we were raised in that moment. All kinds of groundings, taking things away, yelling, screaming,
Spankings
and stuff like that. Now, but that really, the grade wasn't the issue. It was, even when he came home and he had the 5 Fs, the grade wasn't the issue. The issue was, again, Ben had to feel safe first.
Yeah.
And then he also had to understand that, okay, my love for you, the way I feel about you as my son, is not tied to performance.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in your corner no matter what. And I do think that helped. I think that went a long way. I think as a parents, we have to give ourselves grace. Be gracious toward ourselves when we're going through those hard moments like that. Be gracious as you're parenting together.
Yeah.
It's hard, and when you might get a little snippety with each other through it at times, but understand it's frustrations coming out. It's not animosity or hatred, and not even hatred. If you're, again, there were times where I wanted to take Ben and just smack him upside the head.
But really, it was the situation.
It was a situation. It wasn't Ben. I chose to show him that I believed in him.
Yeah.
So again, do I wish his grades were right? Absolutely. I think he's way too smart for any of those things to be where he's at with that. But given the circumstances, where he started this year and where he finished it, the Lord really helped him.
Mm-hmm.
So again, give yourself grace as a parent. Give your kid grace. It's not they should know that your love for them is not based on their performance, not based on what they do or they don't do. Right? That's not that way with God. We don't earn God's love. We don't earn His grace. He just gives it to us. And He's the one that gave us free will. And we do whatever we want with that free will how many times do you think we hurt Him or frustrate Him or with the things that we do?
Yeah, right.
But but he's always there to love us, guide us, correct us, offer grace to us when we seek him out. Not just, and so we have to have that kind of love for our kids as we're parenting. Being ready to come alongside them and walk with them in those moments. Even those low moments. Because that's what helps them learn to keep going.
Yeah.
And not give up. So I'll kind of liken to this. Most of I was in the military. I was, Army National Guard for Indiana, combat medic. And so it means I had to do my medic training in Fort Sam Houston, Texas. And push-ups were always my worst event, because your PT test, you had to do 2 minutes of push-up, 2 minutes of sit-ups, 2-mile run. Well, the 2-mile run was my specialty. Like I could do that one really well. Except for near the end of medic training, we were doing what's called the 8-count push-up. And burpees, for those that maybe that's more of a term that most of you recognize. But there's a moment where you have to you start standing and you drop down to the push-up position, right? And you kick your legs out. Well, I went to kick my leg back and I felt something in my leg pull and pop. And it hurt really bad. And all I know is my run time dropped by 2 minutes.
Oh no!
I was my fastest 2-mile was 13 flat. It dropped to 15 almost immediately. And I remember though that last 2-mile run, I was ready to quit. I was ready to give up. But our first sergeant, who didn't know me from Adam, I'm not gonna pretend he did. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning, but he's standing at the finish line, hey, keep going, don't quit, keep going. And there's that little bit of encouragement. I'm not going to say I ran faster, but it encouraged me not to quit and keep going a little bit further. And if we can learn to do that for our kids, imagine it, and just show a little bit of belief mixed with the love, watch what they'll do.
Yeah. Yeah. So, now, we have 2 other children, not just Ben.
Yeah. We do.
And honestly, this year's been kind of challenging for them as well.
Yeah.
Because we've had to focus a lot on Ben.
Yes.
And so we've seen some behaviors coming out on Emrys's side where she's, kind of being a little turd nugget sometimes. And
she has an ability to be able to read and understand people.
And she knows how to push buttons.
Yes. And right now she uses her newfound knowledge for
Evil.
But we're working with her on it.
And then Jaden, she's, a middle schooler and she had her heart broken this year. And then she's been dealing with she's trying to navigate having healthy boundaries with friends and trying to still be a good role model for her friends, but also not super snobby or snooty about it. She's doing so well, but during our time where we were having to focus so much on Ben, you could see her suffering.
Yeah, because Jaden's very much a child that her love language is words of affirmation. Matter of fact, one of my favorite videos of Jaden, she's 2, and we're at this park in Littleton, Colorado, and she would go down the slide and get up and go, good girl, Jaden, and clap her hands, and because that's what mommy and daddy would do when she would go down the slide or do something like that. And so that's her love language, is words of affirmation. But again, we were so focused on Ben that she wasn't hearing as much of that as she was before.
Well, and even when she was hearing it, she wasn't seeing it as much.
Yeah.
And so it was a trying time for our girls. And so now, Jaden, I think that's part of her reason for her decision. But she's wanting to go to school with me next year, so that way we get some more one-on-one time.
Yeah.
And
we've really made it a point. One of the things that we lost over the last year for a period was we have always been a family that sat down at the dinner table together, and that kind of disappeared for a while because there was just so much happening. And, keep in mind, it's life. I'm sure you're listening. You've been there, but here, really, the last. Since the start of the new year, I've really made it a point, and Nicole's made it a point that we're going to sit down at the dinner table and eat together.
Yeah.
And sometimes just that helps, giving your kids that chance to sit down. There's no distractions. You're all paying it. Nobody's allowed to have their phone. Our phones are nearby, but I'm not going to pretend they're not. But We're not playing on our phones. We're just
family time.
Family time. We're there together. So yeah, find those little things helped.
Yeah.
So again, life, grace meets people in progress, and if God's grace meets us when we're in progress as a person, He meets our families as we're in progress too. Whatever battle comes your way, you're gonna have to face it together. And just like I told Ben, the fastest way is not around it. It's not pretending it doesn't exist. It's not sticking your head in the sand. It's
through it.
It's through it.
And our family's messy.
Mm-hmm.
We're pastors and our family's messy. So if you're looking at your family and you're like, hey, my family's messy, it's okay.
Yeah.
We get it.
Yeah.
Again, we talk to people all the time. People are asking us for advice. I have parents of my students asking me for advice on how to deal with their kids. And I'm just like, if you knew,
Yes.
you wouldn't be asking me. But here's the thing. Everybody's family is messy. And we need to stop trying to hide it and start recognizing that every family is a work in progress. Every family is going through stuff. And it doesn't matter if you are a new family with an infant or even no kids at all, you're a work in progress. And if you're 80 years old and your children are grown and you have grandchildren, guess what? You're still a work in progress. Your kids are still dealing with stuff. You're still dealing with stuff. Your grandkids are dealing with stuff. And it's okay that you're messy.
Yes. Yes. And whatever, there's no... So many times we look at ourselves and think, this is where I should be.
There's no should be.
But remember what Jesus says, was it Matthew 7, do not judge or you too will be judged, for the measure you use will be used against you. That's what He's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We're measuring things by our standards or worldly standards or somebody else's standards. We're doing it by Linda's standard, like, hey, Sadie shouldn't be watching that movie. But the reality of it is, that's not God's standard.
No.
Stop it. Let go of that standard and just be where you're at. Grow in the moment that you're in.
Yeah.
Because God's not going to give you a new lesson until you've learned that one.
Yeah.
So trust Him through it.
Yeah. Learn to adapt. It's okay that everything isn't where you want it to be right now. And the main thing is, if you're a parent, you're loving your kids.
That's right.
That's one thing that I am so appreciative about this whole situation, this whole year, is the fact that Ben never doubted that we loved him.
Yeah. And beyond that, we had a church family that didn't look at Ben and say, this is a bad kid, or kid that they loved him and they loved us.
Yes.
We were very fortunate that we were surrounded by a church that
genuinely loves our kids.
And we're there for them.
Yes.
And there for us. Did whatever we needed them to do. And that goes a long way. So if maybe you're not a parent in that situation, or maybe you're a grandparent listening to this, maybe the most loving thing you can do, maybe you're just a generic church member, you don't have any kids involved in the say, whatever. The best thing you can do is love the families and love their kids right where they're at, as messy as they are. Because sometimes that's what they need. They just need somebody that loves them for them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I guess that's it for our year, right?
Yeah.
So, that was the highlight. I'm not sure that's a great highlight, but it covered it. And so, hey, thank you. Thank you for listening to us share our year.
Yes, coming back for season 2.
Yeah.
But we're really excited for the conversations that we're going to have this season. Some of them are going to be funny, some are going to be difficult, and some that are going to be really close to home.
And so, if today's episode encouraged you, made you laugh, or, reminded you that you're not alone in the mess of everything, we'd love for you to share it, with us or with someone else. Just, it's important that we're honest about our struggles.
That's right. And if you've ever had a weird church parenting or family moment, trust us. We probably understand more than you think. All right. Well,
And we'd love to hear those stories.
yes. Until next time.
Grace and peace to you in the name of Jesus.
Through storms and swallowed our noise, church keys in hand, coffee in mugs, our lives held together by grace and a few hugs. They said she submits, we said we both do. It's not about ladders, it's me and you, serving the kingdom in aprons and jeans, laugh lines and calloused hands and holy routines. At this table for two, there's room for you. Pull up a chair, we'll tell the truth of love and faith.